Hello and welcome to Penny's second day school video. I included this clip because she was very aroused when she came into the training room with me, and I wanted to show you how I handle that. With a dog that just routinely has big feelings, I kind of just let them have the big feeling and don't give any feedback except for saying like good or yes or maybe giving a treat when they look a little calmer, act a little calmer, or petting them like this very calmly. I want to help her regulate her emotions even though she's excited and anxious. It's important to note that a wagging tail is not just excited. It just shows that the dog is feeling some type of big emotion. So just because the tail is wagging doesn't mean she's super happy. You can see she yawns a lot, and I ask her to sit, but she lays down. So then I bring her towards me and ask her to sit again. And then she sits and I pet her. And this is something called sit on the dog. You're not literally sitting on the dog, but it's an exercise where you basically sit in a chair with your dog on a leash, and there's very little feedback or engagement. You're just waiting to see how long they can settle in a scenario, so like she was just being pretty crazy. So I sat down in that chair with her, and the idea is that they can lay down and relax, or there's no right answer, but ideally the dog would at some point be able to lay down and relax. And she actually did really fantastic. This is sped up 2 times right now. She laid down pretty quickly. I did not ask her to. She just did, and she even has her head down on the ground. And so I give her a moment there to, again, self-regulate. She still startles a little bit here and there, but what I really like is that she's able to just lay back down all on her own. There are some YouTube videos about sit on the dog. I think it's a fantastic and super easy exercise that helps with emotional regulation. I can send you a link to a video that I like if you'd like. But again, she did way better than I thought she would, considering her anxious, excited energy the first part of the time that we were in the training room. So then, a lot of dogs are scared of going through a tunnel, and I already had it out, so I figured why not try, and she had absolutely no problem with it. So most fearful dogs will refuse to step in the tunnel, even if there are treats in there. You can see in another recent video that I posted, the dog's name is Blaze. I did this with him, and it took him a couple minutes to even go into the tunnel to get that food that I tossed in for him. So that would be more of what I would see in a fearful dog, versus she went in pretty quick, no problem. Now, of course, if she's fearful of very specific things, like things with wheels and dogs and stuff like that, that might not show up when we're working on the tunnel. But just something to note. She's very interesting, and I am still trying to figure her out. And you see, I ask her for a down. She gives me some appeasement behavior by like walking towards me with her butt kind of tucked, and she's asking for pets. And I basically, anytime she does that, I go, no, I don't need all of that. I don't need a big show. I just need you to down for me. And then as soon as you down, I will give you pets and praise and maybe a treat. I try to be very matter-of-fact with dogs that have lots of feelings about nothing or something. Now I have my other dog on this place bed, and he is typically a little more reactive, not in the sense of, barking, lunging, that type of thing, but sometimes he groans when he's excited, or he's not quite as good as staying in one spot. But honestly, he did super well during this and gave her very little reactions. So that was good on his part, and she also did absolutely wonderful with him. And something that's good about my two dogs is this one has pointy ears and a very forward posture. He likes to make eye contact with other dogs. My fluffy dog from the other video doesn't really like to make eye contact. He lays down, he keeps his head down, he lays on his side. A lot more neutral than what this dog is doing right now, but still this dog is being very neutral. So basically what I'm doing is I'm letting her look, and then I'm rewarding her when she turns away. And sometimes I will use my body to start walking away, and she follows me quite readily. Sometimes she just needs a little tiny bit of attention on the leash, and she'll just follow you or follow me. Sometimes I'll say her name, or I'll say, "Good girl," and then she'll look at me, and then I'll give her a treat for looking at me. So the idea here is that she can engage with the dog by looking, and then disengage from the dog by looking away or looking at me or sniffing something else. And you'll see how calmly I pet her throughout this, because I don't want to raise her arousal level. And when we walk towards the dog, she tends to be a little more stiff. Her tail is not high, which is a good sign to me. She's not being overbearing when she walks towards the dog, but she does go a little bit stiff, like she's unsure, but she's curious because she keeps interacting with the dog. She keeps looking at him, which is totally fine. I never want to tell a reactive dog, "No, don't look at that," because it's very scary to say, "Don't look at the thing that you're scared of," right? So I want them to look at the dog and then look back at me and acknowledge me and basically ask, "Hey, what are we doing about this thing over there that I don't particularly like, or that I do really like," if she does really like other dogs. Because there can be reactiveness from being overly excited about other dogs. And this is how I like to start reactivity training, is with no reactions. Keeping it low key, letting her know that that other dog is safe to be over there and he's not going to bother you. You want to start with a super neutral dog, like I think you're aware, and then work your way up to, now can we ignore an excited dog? Now can we ignore an aggressive dog? Things like that. She chooses to lay down here, and I actually like that because she's not doing it out of appeasement. I think she's just kind of relaxing. And then Radar, my dog, gives some movement, some excitement. She gets a little unsure, so she checks in with me and stands back up. And because she pulls really hard sometimes, I would really like her to understand that if there is leash pressure, I need you to follow the leash pressure, because that's going to be a safety thing for you guys, especially if she's on like a head halter, because that can put a lot of strain on their neck. You really don't want them pulling on a head halter or a prong collar for that matter. So the reason I'm using leash pressure for downs is that when I say down, I need you to do that. And that leash pressure, it's not going to pull you down, but it is going to be there until you lay down. So I'm trying to get some follow through with the cues that I'm giving. But I am specifically not giving her cues to do obedience if she is over aroused, because then she's not going to be able to do it. The leash pressure also helps cut through You know, if she's hyper focusing on something or she can't think straight because she's feeling a big emotion, that is a physical cue to either sit or down or come with me, basically. So I started giving Radar a little bit of movement, so tossing him treats. At one point, I toss him a treat and it goes underneath the place bed, which is not ideal, but he gets up off of it and like sticks his head under it and everything, and she actually does not even care, which is great. But I did not get a reaction out of her at all. She might whine a little bit here and there, and then I will create distance from the dog. And then as she does better, I will decrease the distance from the dog. And if she looks at the dog and then looks at me, or looks at the dog and then looks away, I will say yes, and I will give her a treat, or pets, or praise, or whatnot. This is also sped up 2 times. She decided to lay down, so I gave her a nice, down her whole body sort of pet, very calming. So I just kind of let this play out. This is when the treat goes underneath the bed. And Penny is literally just watching. And she gets a little tense here or there, but it's really nothing concerning. And you notice how my leash is very loose anytime she's doing something that I like. So again, as she does well, we decrease the distance to the dog. If she has some uncomfortableness, we will increase the distance from the dog. I do also typically increase distance from the dog if I'm rewarding her. I'll bring her away. So also leaving the presence of the other dog is a reward too, if she doesn't want to be near the dog due to fear or whatnot. And there she gives me a beautiful down. This is the posture that I would like to see when I ask her to lay down. Her tail is wagging, her head is up at me, she's not rolling over and showing her tummy in appeasement behavior. I ask her to down, she does it, she gets rewarded for it. Awesome, perfect. No big whole show of, oh, okay, I can do that for you. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Here, you can have my tummy. Because that's not technically a down, right? And it's showing that she's having a whole bunch of emotions that, frankly, are not helpful in that moment. And I like this part too, because they're actually pretty close to each other, and just being neutral. And I do not need a dog to like other dogs. I need a dog to be neutral to other dogs. So this is perfect. And she still has some pretty decent body language here. She's watching me, she's checking some other stuff out, but she's not yawning or lip licking or rolling over. Her tail isn't tucked under her butt. She's just kind of looking and then looking away. And that is perfect to me. She really did a lot better today. Her body language even shows that, and the fact that she was taking treats. I encourage you to watch, one time watching her and one time watching us and seeing her body language and how I respond to that body language when I give her treats, when I talk to her, how I'm talking to her, all of those sorts of things. And again, it could be totally different because it's me and not you guys, and she's used to being really reactive with you guys, but not with me yet. So I really cannot say for certain, but at least here, she's doing super well.